Will,
Yes.
in 14 years of doing this show, we've talked about some controversial hot button topics. But I can say there is nothing that has created as much controversy
Oh.
as our brand new segment, Crack That Pack.
Oh, really?
What was, I guess, like a spontaneous decision, something that we enjoyed, like
a whimsy.
a whimsy, has created a firestorm amongst our listeners. Now, from time to time, I like to check out the Tea Room on Facebook, which is our Facebook page. And look, there is no right or wrong in this scenario. It's just like, it's all subjective. It's all people's opinions. But someone just aired a grievance or a lack of enthusiasm about our newest segment, Crack That Pack, which is like, not really sure I'm into this biscuit review thing. And then that started like an absolute firestorm. Like, I have never seen our listeners argue so passionately pro and con anything we've ever talked about. There's some people who love the segment and there's some people who hate the segment. Now, to be fair, and I think this is, we take feedback on board. It's a learning. We can move on from that. The major complaint seems to be stop eating your biscuits so close to the fucking microphone.
That's fair.
Which is fair enough.
That's absolutely fair.
Will and I love this segment. We want to continue this segment. We'll take that feedback on board. But
I think that's good feedback.
I do have a couple of things I want to read out just because this is more in the positive realm of things. This is from Jared, who says, "Hello, I'm a long-time listener and a first-time writer. I'm sitting in my public service job listening to a podcast about two grown men reviewing their favorite biscuits. And strangely, I fucking love it. How did my life reach this point?"
I know. But
right?
Yeah, I love it too. Everyone I've told, this is honestly the first time any of my friends have been interested in our podcast. Because they say, "What are you talking about on the podcast?" I'm like, "We're reviewing which are the best biscuits." And then I have like quite passionate conversations with people about what biscuits they like.
People have been sending me pictographs of them ranking their own biscuits. Like,
Yes.
but this is a thing though, like it seems to be a real raw nerve kind of thing. You are either into biscuit reviews or you fucking hate biscuit reviews. I didn't realize anyone hated biscuits.
But this is good,
biscuit
Charlie,
reviews.
because this is the first time. This is what the internet rewards.
Yeah,
like controversy in the algorithm.
This came in from Luke. He was like, guaranteed winner for Crack That Pack. Gents, try the Aldi version of the wagon wheel. It's hilariously named the cartwheel, and it is superior to the OG wagon wheel.
I read a review in the newspaper that said that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
All right, so we have to put that on the list. But this is probably...
I read a thing where they were ranking the Aldi versions versus the original versions, and I think the wagon wheel was the only one where the Aldi version, like they loved it more.
Now, this is probably the most feedback we've had about anything regarding biscuits. And it's kind of like we've shamed our fellow Australians in a lot of ways. Anzac cookie.
Oh, yeah.
We referred to it as Anzac cookie. So this is coming from Stuart. And the subject is Anzac cookie, an illegal term. So he says, guys, in the recent episodes of TOEFOP, I've heard both Will and Charlie use the term Anzac cookie on multiple occasions. I'd like to let you know that you have been using a term that's actually disallowed by the Department of Veterans Affairs. According to their guidelines, the products are only to be referred to as Anzac biscuits and never Anzac cookies. This is because biscuit is the Australian term and cookie is an American term. So the term Anzac cookie is a clash of terminology that disrespects the Australianness of the Anzac tradition. The guideline is aimed at stopping the creeping Americanization of Australia, i.e. saying diaper instead of nappy, $5 bill instead of $5 note, Z instead of Z, as well as protecting the name.
That's the issue about Americans' involvement in Australia.
That's the biggest issue.
That's the big one.
As well as protecting the name of the biscuits, the Department of Veterans Affairs also has fines for people who after the recipe of Anzac biscuits, who alter the recipe of Anzac biscuits, such as adding chocolate chips or almonds. Individual sellers of modified recipe biscuits are looking at a $10,000 fine, whereas businesses can be fined up to $51,000.
Well, you know what? If you want them to be cookies, you just make them AUKUS cookies, right?
We could.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a little Orcus cookie.
But what's the most American?
Anzac biscuits
Is
and
chocolate-
an Orcus cookie.
So is a chocolate chip,
Chocolate
is that
chip, yeah, I would've
quintessential
thought so.
American?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Or, yeah, what's another?
Some sort of caramel.
Or the s'more. If you
Yeah.
took an Anzac biscuit, put marshmallow and chocolate.
I think choc chip feels American
chocolate
to
chip
me.
doesn't feel right though in an Anzac. That seems like too
Yeah,
much.
but that's your Orcus cookie.
He says if you want to plead your case, there's a specific government email address we could email. So we could maybe ask for an exemption, do you think, in this case? Or do we just, from now on, make a commitment? We just no longer refer to it as an Anzac cookie.
I'll do what I like, and no one tells me what to do. That's what the diggers fought
look
for,
at this.
my freedom.
Look at the Will burning the flag.
Diggers fought for my freedom to say whatever I wanted to say.
It's funny, this goes way back to, I remember my dad telling me about his dad, my granddad, that when he was in the army and the American soldiers came out here, and the American soldiers had all like nice, neat, like ironed uniforms. They looked, really cool. And the Aussie soldiers were all wearing their baggy green, like slouch hats and pants that didn't fit quite right and stuff. And all the local Aussie girls were like, oh, they're so much better. And the guy's like, no, we're Australian. You got to like us. It's like, well, occasionally, if you don't want to put a bit of pizzazz on it, of course people are going to be drawn. Cookie has a bit of pizzazz to it. I understand and I honour the spirit of the Anzac biscuit.
Oh, I agree. Like,
But I'm also
I'm
sympathetic to the fact that like language changes.
I'm happy in the case of the Anzac because of the specific branding of it. The fact that it is obviously associated with, like, in reference to the military history of Australia. I understand that. That makes sense to me. Anzac biscuit, I'm fine with that. In general, the whole biscuit cookie, don't use American terms, as if somehow the British are better than Americans. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Somehow
they're
superior.
equally terrible. Like, we came from both of them. I don't have a particular adherence. Like, and also the one thing we've learnt from modern generations is that language changes so quickly.
Yes.
And, that idea that you're holding onto some traditional way to say something or spell something.
Well, even Z and Z, that's the
Yeah,
one
who
thing I'm
cares?
trying to hold on with Iona
Oh, yeah.
because, she does the alphabet. We'll go through books and stuff, and she keeps saying Z, and I'm like Z. But everything she consumes,
Yeah,
because
says Z.
90% of children's entertainment comes from the States, says Z. And it's like, is this battle really worth fighting? I mean, everyone knows what she means.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. People pronounce things differently in Australia. Like,
I don't want
know
her
what I
to
mean? Like,
receive the boot like on The Simpsons, though.
but like, it's like Castle. People say that differently within Australia depending on where you're from. So why are we so upset about like H and H depending on where you went to school?
But I also think that the Anzac biscuit and Anzac cookie can imply two different things. Like if it
yes,
was,
I agree. And I
like
thought,
Ben and Jerry's
I
is
thought,
ice cream, but it's
Yeah.
also it's Ben and Jerry's. You know what I mean? Like it's like a different type of ice cream. So
yeah,
I think there's
no,
like
I
traditional
agree
Anzac
that if
biscuit.
you're like putting an Anzac on the edges of a Ben and Jerry's, it's probably a cookie.
Yeah, like if you got an Anzac biscuit from
Yeah.
Krispy Kreme and
It's
they
a
called it a
cookie.
cookie, that would be a cookie.
Yeah, in
Or
fact,
Mrs.
the Americans,
Fields or
Krispy
something.
Kreme are American, so I don't want them culturally appropriating our language.
Yeah.
Their biscuits are scones.
And also, like
In
we used to
America,
call,
a biscuit is a scone.
we used to call like pikelets drop.
Everyone relax.